So as parents, we talk with our kids certainly about their homework, what they are doing with their friends, where they're going after school. But when is the last time you really had a conversation with them about how much water they're drinking during the day or what they know about heat stroke and dehydration? Jalen Ford has played sports all of his life. He never thought this could happen to him. Did you see that? The Ribault High School football player collapsed right there last August during a game. He fell face down on the field and was taken away, as you can see, on the stretcher. He was dehydrated. He had no idea. We certainly don't want this to happen to your student athletes. So there are warning signs you need to be aware of. Joining me now this morning is Bob Sefcik with the Jacksonville Sports Medicine Program and Larry Roziers. He's with Duval County Schools. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for being here. You know, I feel like we talk about this all the time. I'll be honest. You know, come on, you've got to drink lots of water. But the reality is you look at somebody like Jalen, who probably knows he needs to, but they think that they're tough, that they don't have to worry about it. And then that happens. Yeah. And you see it all the time, Bob.
Exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head there as far as the toughness goes. And it's this macho image that they have, no pain, no gain type of strategy. But we know that's not true. Fluids are important for our body. We need to keep our body cool. That's one of the main mechanisms of cooling the body. And we live in an environment that is unforgiving as far as that goes.
And these kids are often practicing, the high school students get out earlier, so they're practicing really kind of in the heat of the day. And I know that Duval County Schools is really good about trying to work with the coaches as well. How do you encourage this from the coaches down to the kids, Larry?
You know, often we're saying to our coaches, and not just our coaches, even our principals who are meeting with our coaches on a regular basis, our athletic directors, and we're putting emphasis around that we must hydrate. Our young people must hydrate often. They must hydrate before going out, and they must hydrate often. And that's the message that we're sending loud and clear to all of our coaches, to all of our players. Because a lot of times I think often what we do is we forget about our players. And so we're educating our players on the importance of hydration as well.
And one of the reasons we felt this was so important this morning is that you're really directly talking not to the kids because they're in class right now, but to their parents and to their grandparents. It needs to become part of a conversation that you have with all the other things you talk to your kids about. Bob, let's talk a little bit about warning signs too, because this is important, because you could confuse these with just being tired and fatigued and not realize it's dehydration. So first, let's start with dehydration. Nausea is not uncommon, for example.
That's correct.
But probably if you're just getting back into shape and you're out there playing football or soccer or whatever, you're thinking, well, I'm just feeling this way because I didn't eat a good lunch.
That's true. So there's a number of signs and symptoms, and what we really promote is the preventative aspect. So we know we're going to have the signs of the nausea, the lightheadedness, even the feeling faint at times, the heavy and profuse sweating. And that's easy to dismiss for a number of reasons, but certainly we know with the heat and humidity that we have in our environment that dehydration is probably the main culprit.
And when we move from dehydration like what Jalen experienced, but then also to heat stroke, which can be so dangerous, I mean, we've seen a number of athletes die right there on the field over the last couple of years. Heat stroke's important as well. Similar symptoms, but even more severe. If you'll walk us through those. Let's start first with that. And I've heard this actually before with students. I felt like my pulse was just out of control. Yeah. And I couldn't get it under control, that rapid pulse. Yeah.
Again, most people don't appreciate that the body could produce its own heat. So when we have those extreme temperatures and those extreme conditions, our heart starts to beat faster and harder, our breathing, our respiration rate increases. That all is producing some internal heat. So not only do we have the environmental heat, creating a danger for us, internally we have our own heat building. So that's why it's very important to recognize those signs and symptoms. And certainly heat stroke does become a medical emergency, and that's where we do see the collapse, where our body has lost its ability to cool itself down, and we do need
that core temperature gets to about 105.
Yeah, 105 degrees. That's the basic definition of heat stroke.
Now, Larry, I know that you brought this in as kind of a demonstration. Students are going to start seeing these then around during games, as an example. As a reminder, explain the program to us. Project 17 and really
well, I think we're hitting the nail on the head. It's all about education. It's all about getting our young people in front of and around those medical professionals that understand what's going on. and how to help them through that process. And so what we've done, and we've partnered with JSMP and other community medical partners to form what we think that's going to be very important for our young people is Project 17. And Project 17 is to ensure that we have full-time athletic trainers in all of our high schools that participate in athletics. And the key to this is having that medical professional there, training, education. And as I'm sitting here listening to this, that's the key for me. How do we educate our young people? How do we consistently be in front of our young people, showing them the importance of, now you fill in the blank, so that they can remain healthy? Prevention is the key. 7
of the high schools have them. They want to get the 17, obviously, in there as well. Thank you for the conversation, guys. It is so important, and it's a conversation that needs to be had certainly at home as well. And a reminder to local athletes, you're not weak by raising your hand and saying, hey, coach, I need to sit out for a minute and cool down.
Right.
Very, very important. Regardless of how big and strong they are, it happens to all of us. Thanks for being here. Do appreciate it. If you missed any of this interview, by the way, you can watch it in its entirety later this morning on news4jax.com. Just look under the morning show page.